We also do master classes. So this is one of the master classes that we do. We have previously done how to start your career in tech, and how to brand your startup, how to get investors. So we actually try to do a more holistic approach to just training. And then we have wellness events. So if you have been following our channels, you saw we had a mental health day here in Kenya, and we had basketball in Nigeria. So it's a very incorporating different things into just learning. It won't be, well, because the program is fully based online, we also try to do as many things as we can do in person. Yeah, so that is a quick rundown. I know my colleague Jafet will probably share a few links in the chat, so you can join our community, keep track of such events. Our course is beginner friendly. So if you have a friend who wants to start software development, this is it. If you want someone who would just want to be part of tech events, this is our channel as well. So yeah, welcome. Thank you for making time. I will pass it on to Olive to introduce herself, and then we'll go to Kesia, then Benaya, and then Collins.
Okay, hi everyone. Look at me waiting for them to say hi back. But anyway, hi guys. My name is Olive Nkirote. I am, wow, I don't know. You know, I've learned to stop introducing myself with what I do and mostly who I am, because what I do is not who I am. So who am I? I'm a girl who loves laughing. I am an extrovert. I love going to the gym. I love cake, a lot of cake. And what else do I love? And I love reading books. What do I do? Because that's different. Because guys, what I do is basically how to survive this expensive system, okay? This capitalism system. So what do? I have two businesses. I have a farm, and I have a content creation / education platform called ONR. So I talk about business, I talk about crypto, I talk about money. It's a platform that just helps me share the things that I learned both in my business and both in life. And yeah, that's what I do, guys, to make money. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kesia. It's always difficult to introduce yourself. I'd say I'm a financial enthusiast and also tech enthusiast. Yeah, I love learning new things, meeting new people, and yeah, I believe in kindness. So I try my best to be kind to everyone. Apart from that, what I do is I am a co-founder and CEO of Ecoba, which is it means electronic community-based banking. So we do facilitate savings for both savings groups like chamas, merry-go-rounds, but also individuals. So we are able to help them to digitize the whole process, but also they're able to access other financial services like microloans, microinsurance products, and also investments. Yeah, so that's it on my end.
Thank you, Kesia. Over to you, Benaya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Benaya Wikundi. I am what am I? I am a software engineer, a techie. I am, you could say, a law school dropout. But most importantly, I am the chief maverick at Paid. And basically what you're building at Paid is a payments and financial management platform for freelancers and creatives. I am also an alumnus of the Powerland project, and I am happy to be here.
Thank you, Ben. Over to you, Collins.
Hello there, my name is Collins Kathuli. I am a 21-year-old software engineer. I'm an entrepreneur as well. and I am the current CEO at Kianda Africa. And what we do at Kianda Africa, we are more of an interoperable wallet as a service operating in Kenya and South Africa. And we facilitate payments, sending of money, cross-border payments as well, remittance, among other payment solutions. And I am happy to be here.
Thank you, Collins. So if you are anything like me, I am barely into the investing world. So I am over here with my notebook. I am ready to learn. So I hope you're also cozy somewhere, Kezia, I see you ready to learn from these experts. So just to break the ice a little bit, we don't want to start so deep. Could you guys say probably something interesting about your financial, how is your financial relationship? Is it good? Are you a saver? Did you start saving like me in the little elephant? You know, the jumbo. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the little elephant we were given when we were younger. And we'd save like 10 bob or 50 bob. That was a lot of money then. So how did you guys get into finances? And I'll still start with you, Olive. So how is your financial relationship and how did you get into finances?
I think you like me a lot, Anne, because I cannot be starting all the time with these beautiful faces next to me here and I want to maybe grant a poem. Tafadhali. Anyway, okay, so my journey. Okay, fine. I also remember having that elephant thing, but to be honest, I don't remember ever seeing it full because I kept removing money from it. So yeah, that's the story for another day. I think my relationship with money was born in 2018 August. And you know why it's so clear to my head? Because I had just finished uni. Hey, Collins is 21. Some of us are descendants, okay? So I had finished uni and it's either you look for a job or you start a business, and I had been cocooned in my mom's and my dad's home for too long, guys, for too long. I did not know what was out here. So trying to understand what money is and what I need to do with this money, what I need to grow. Like for me, that's when I started actually making a relationship with money and realized that the world is not as easy as it was when I was in my mom's house, okay? So quickly, I remember the whole of 2019. So I moved from an elephant to something like a wooden box, right? Where now I was putting my coins because let's be honest, you can't save if you have nothing. So we should stop telling people to save because sometimes you have nothing to save. But the small money that I was making in my small businesses, I would save a 20 bob or a 10 bob or a 20 bob and a 10 bob. And this was pretty much that time. That was my life. And I remember I broke it. I have a video, guys, on YouTube. I hope I'll find it and link it on the chat. And I counted and I had saved like 15,000 from 20 bobs and 10 bobs and 20 bobs and 10 bobs. So what can I say about my money relationship? It's been an interesting relationship. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, depending on the income, but it's reminding myself the principles of saving is a good thing. Even though I don't have, I should try save the little that I have. And then now increasing my knowledge outside saving, because now you start saving and you're like, okay, I've saved a lot. What can I do with this money? So yeah, that's my relationship so far.
Okay, Collins, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. My relationship with money, I think it goes back when I was in primary school. I think I used to have, the breaks that you used to carry in school. I used to have an extra one. So I used to sell and get that extra coin, then save it again, like Oliver said, in that box, that kajumbo. And yeah, I think that's where it all began in primary school. But now got a bit more serious in high school. I think that's when I started learning more about the social media. I mean, everything out here in the digital space. And I got a chance to get access to a platform that really helped me in as much as I was young then. I was able to sign up and do some more saving, some more intense savings. And now the monies that I was getting, maybe from pocket money, from whatever savings I had, now I had to channel them here. And I think I was among among the young people to invest in, that platform as well. It's a Kenyan one, actually. It enables people to also invest in Kenyan stocks like Safaricom, etc. So I used to buy those, just trying to teach myself. I see there's nothing happening here. I just sell off, make losses, go home. And that's when I started now learning more how to save. And it has now grown from, from that jumbo, from that break that I used to give out extra and get that coin, to probably where I am today. And yeah, I think that's how I got into the space of investing.
Okay, I think previously I would think that people who are our parents' age are the ones who are supposed to be investing and thinking about retirement. And here you have Collins saying he had invested even when he was younger. We praise God. Kezia, do you want to go next?
All right. I think mine is a bit different. Wow. I didn't have any elephant like you guys were talking about, or any box for that matter. It's just that, how can I say it? I'd say I was privileged enough that, my parents were easy, but also tough at the same time, where I would say, okay, if I want something, I'd have to do, those things where you promise, I'm gonna do this in school so that I can get money. It was like that till my last 2 years of high school. I was sent in another country alone. So first of all, you're young. I was 14. I was 14 years. And then you're in another country. You're not with your parents. You're not with any family member. And then you're given money and you have to manage it for a whole term, right? Because even in school, since the fact that it was far from home, parents never used to just come, like I could even finish a year, without them coming, but then maybe I'd go home once in a while. But yeah, so, I was thrown under the deep end from, at home having everything to being sent in another country without anyone. And then now there's that fear of, well, you don't want not to have, So that's how I learned to save, by the fear of, missing something. Maybe if there's an emergency, or if I want to buy myself stuff, even something as small as credit, right? To be able to talk to my parents. So yeah, mine was totally different. It was the fact that, I was thrown under the deep end, and then I had to learn, as I moved. And it has been like that ever since. So I'd say, yeah, it's been quite a journey. Yeah.
I truly get that. I think we had the experience of growing up probably when we went to high school or university, even for that matter. So I can't imagine what budgeting when you were younger looked like. I mean, even right now, budgeting is such a hassle. So that must have been a lot. Let's finish with Benaya so that you can start.
Awesome. So I think my story is like entirely different from everyone's. Growing up, first of all, I had like really, really bad financial habits. And even beyond that, I didn't have like, okay, saving was like a luxury to me, because like there wasn't, enough to spend and save as well. I even remember in class 7, my parents were called to school because I had taken debt of, I think, 100 shillings from like 5 different kids in my class, and they're all complaining. I took like debt from them the previous time and I had not paid back. So like joining high school, it was like a whole new experience for me, because then at that point I was entirely in charge of like how I spend my pocket money. I had like a really rough time between Form 1 and Form 3, because by the time the second week is in, nimemaliza pocket money, and pocket money was not that much as well at that time. Joining campus, I had to like do a lot of should I say, like I had to, my learning curve as far as saving and spending was like really steep, because then here I am 100% in charge, right? So I'm in charge of like spending, I'm in charge of paying bills, I'm in charge of everything. So I have to literally plan myself. Down to second year, we had like a couple of financial issues. So I had to take a break from those school. So at this point, I was like entirely like alone on, not like on my own. I had to figure things out on my own as a grown up. For context, I'm also 21, just like colleagues. So this was like, should I say that was like the wake up call for me. And that is when I now got into freelancing, developing websites and doing graphic design. And at that point now I had to like learn how to sort of plan, manage my finances or plan my finances to ensure that at the end of the month I have paid my rent, I have covered all the bills I am dressing well. And at that point I had also like started a startup. So also make sure that this startup has like the necessary resources for it to like grow and thrive. So yeah, it's been, for me, my money experience it's just been crazy. But yeah, I think getting to this point, looking back, it's really, really interesting.
Thank you so much, Ben. So I see a couple of people already asking questions in the question and answer area. So feel free to throw any questions as we go to the panelists, and we will focus on them at the end of the session. So Collins, you could probably start this time around. How can young individuals start building their investment portfolio? And I don't know whether in your introduction you talked a little bit about what Kianda was inspired by. I think you can jointly do the two.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, Kianda was actually inspired by a science project back in high school. The story is quite interesting. When I joined high school in Lukenya High School, I joined computer studies as a subject, only to realize that this was the subject that would really reveal my talent in programming. So I was keen to do projects actually for Science Congress, for those science-based Congress competitions. And on this journey, I did the first project in 2018. It was a school telephone booth, something way too different from what Kianda is. Then I presented this actually to the former president at Young Scientist Kenya. Then from there, I got motivated now to begin another project for the following year's Congress, so that at least when you're in high school, you want to, get this function so that you're able to go outside the school. And I mean, you want to be outside the school setting for some time. So that was in my final year in Form 4, and unfortunately I couldn't participate in this Congress. So I sat down throughout the year, in as much as I was studying and focusing in my studies. On a side, I was trying to scribble and try and come up with something like a project. And this was essentially Kianda. It was more of an airtime vending platform, just to vend airtime to people within my closed loop. I mean, not commercially, but when I was done with high school in November, the KCSE is done, you have nothing stressing you, no studies, no pressure. I decided to venture directly into the project and now fulfill it completely. Within 3 months, thanks to School of YouTube, School of Google, I developed an application that was essentially vending this airtime. And within the first day that we launched back in February 2020, we had 50 clients on day one. So this now greatly motivated me fully. If I can do something which wasn't meant for commercial purposes, and within the first day I have 50 clients, then this is pretty much the future. So that was the beginning of Kianda, and that's it. From there, the whole story is all about growing, all about learning new things, especially since I didn't step into a programming class. Now you have a business, you have clients, people who you have to satisfy on a daily basis. So I had now to focus on both to ensure that everything is in place. And now to your question, Annabelle, what young individuals need to do in order to start investing? I think for me, I would pretty much say you should have a plan. I think that's the first thing. I mean, if you don't have any plan, then I mean, you're just planning to fail. So I feel like if you sit down and see pretty much what you have at the moment and what you can do with that amount, or rather with the amount that you have at that point of time. So you plan and see with this amount, like for instance, let's say if I have a pocket money, I would not say young people have salaries or have any forms of income, but they pretty much have those stipends that they're always given, or that extra coin that you'll forever get. So from there, you have a plan, get to know out of this amount, how can I save it? How can I utilize it properly? So I feel like having a plan is the most critical thing, and you need to be, focused into it. Otherwise, you'll have a plan, and then, sometimes plans don't work out perfectly. So you might have this plan, decide I'll be saving, let's say 100 bob every day, 100 bob every week, every month. Then in this jumbo, for instance, then when a financial crisis comes in, you're just trying to think how I can break that jumbo very fast, so that, you can solve the financial crisis. So I think that's the first thing that you need to have in mind. Then from there, after you've done the plan, I think the next thing should be where exactly am I focusing to invest? So this is pretty much like what diversification in terms of maybe let me put it in portfolio wise, in terms of the many investment regimes, many investment platforms that we have, many investment gateways that we have. Where am I focusing? And it's always good not to put your all eggs into one basket. So you need to diversify. You need to have, saving in different places. Maybe if you're talking about a bank, if you're talking about a unit trust, if you're talking about whatever form of investment you decide to choose, then you diversify this. Don't just put everything into one place. Sometimes things happen, and maybe the following day, wherever you had saved, it's no longer there. So this is something that you need to put into consideration. Then I think the last thing is, I think I'd mentioned this, staying disciplined. You've saved this amount. How long will you hold it? Will you just go break that savings plan that you've made? Will you break maybe the laws that you've put in place? And that one now it becomes a challenge. If you don't stay disciplined towards your investment plan, then some of these things won't work out properly, since investment is a long-term game, and you need to be well disciplined in order to achieve some of the objectives that you want to achieve. So I think those are from my view, I think those are the three most important things that young people should consider when when coming into this investment space.
Thank you so much, Collins. As you were talking, I was just thinking, oh my gosh, how many people actually have financial discipline? And Olive, you could probably talk to us about, as a financial coach, how do people first, right? No? Okay, as a financial wellness content creator.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, still the same, but I hear you. How do people probably get the discipline to start investing? And are there some of the tips probably like someone you use from the content people create into investment and saving?
Okay, so now, Anne, you've asked me a lot of questions, and I'm trying to see how to answer it. I can answer it in a more structured way for people to like write down, because I have a tip line that I follow, and then I can also answer it in the kienyeji way of the reality kwa ground ni different. So you guys feel free to like put on the chat if you want both, but for the purpose of transferring information that is informative, let me just put on my imaginary hat of financial coach, because I don't like being called that, because let me not go to the becauses, but anyway, so I'll make it brief, but I am quite, I don't want to say I'm quite an investor because I genuinely haven't invested in that many things, but I have invested in a few things. And maybe to give the guys listening to us in this concept to see how I've gotten to where I am, okay? So I can just, let me share my age so that it makes sense, but me, I'm not 21, I'm currently 27. And I finished uni in 2018 August. So I've had like a 5-year, let's say 5-year run in this world of starting a business, trying to find money and trying to invest. Now, in these 5 years, I have started a farming business, very expensive venture, very capital intensive. Where, if you asked me this question, guys, I'd not do it, but let me not kill someone's vision. Maybe kuna mtu anataka kuwa farmer chini ya maji. And then in the process of doing farming, that's how I entered into content creation, because I wanted to share the lessons of starting a business. So ONR was born. So I'm a creative entrepreneur at ONR and an agripreneur at YRK, a rabbit farm, actually, because you guys might actually think it's a law farm. Someone asked me the other day, like, you mean a law farm? And I was like, well, no, a rabbit farm, okay? My businesses have helped me, okay, not just the businesses, also the opportunities the businesses bring have helped me find ways to invest the extra or the little money that comes in, because you don't really invest your money for expenses. I solely believe that if you're investing, it's because you have been able to cover your expenses, you've been able to cover your needs, and now you have money that you can actually put aside, because also you're disciplined enough to realize that you don't have to go to Diani every weekend, you don't have to, go to the bar and tell Kilamtu it's on me. You've also found the discipline, if you're a woman, to not buy all the fancy dresses that look nice. You've actually been able to put decent money outside to invest, okay? So I have been also able to invest in a 1-acre plot of land. One of the heaviest investments that I've done till today. Sometimes I'm happy that I've done it, and then sometimes I'm just like, we nimejifunga, because land is cash preservation. Now, that is the context. I've been able to do this in a span of 5 years, like I said. I'm also heavily invested in crypto, another world that I am very passionate about. Not many people like it because they don't know about it, but yeah. So let me now talk about investments. This might take a while, so let me see if I can summarize it fast enough. But if someone needs more information, feel free to reach out to ONR. We have an email and we have an Instagram page. So this is how I entered into investment. I believe in the 5 investment tips, okay? My first one is you have to determine your investment goal. People think you will put money aside because you have extra. Let me tell you, the human mind doesn't work like that. If you actually want to invest, you have to have a goal. I don't believe in, I'm just saving money. Sir, what are you saving for? You have to have a goal. Now, maybe my age will be showing. You could be saving for a wedding, you could be saving for a car, you could be saving for dowry if you're a man, but you have to have a goal. Maybe you guys are young, so you could be saving for a traveling escapade, or you could be saving for a laptop or saving for a business. You have to have a goal, okay? Once you understand that goal, and it is a serious goal, you're not just saying it for fun, something actually ignites within you to fulfill it, okay? My second thing is you have to determine what type of investor you are. So I call it the investor profile. Now, I'm getting a bit technical, so guys, please get your notebooks. I asked Anne if I should come with slides, and she was like, no, now I should have just created slides, because, guys, I hope I'm tapotea. Now, investor profile is basically...
It's okay. We can still share them in the community. No worries.
Okay. So investor profile basically is you as a person, we are all different. Olive is maybe an extrovert with a lot of energy and she's very high risk. Even right now, if you tell me I've lost 50K, I'll just cry a bit and I move on. I'm fine. And then maybe there's Kezia, she said she's really kind. So maybe judging from her energy, she looks like an introvert who just, keeps to herself and smiles. And maybe, so she's maybe low risk. So when you're thinking of investing, always ask yourself, what type of investor am I? So there are 3 things to vet: your risk tolerance, your risk appetite, and your risk capacity. Now, if your risk tolerance is low, and I mean, like you invest in crypto, and then the next day you're seeing you're 50% down, you're cursing everyone, you are mad, just know you're a low risk type of person. You shouldn't be investing in things that will not make you survive long, because you might die, honestly. But if you're someone who, even if you were to see 50% loss, you're okay. You're not okay, but you're okay. You can still, so that means you're high risk. So if you go online and just search the risk tolerance scale, you can start assessing your risk level, okay? The second thing I advise is to know your risk appetite, okay? So basically it's your willingness to take risk. If someone, how do I explain? You see, like I actually say anyone who starts a business has a higher risk appetite, because a business is not predictable income. Let me tell you, there's a month you're rich and the next month you're broke. Now your friends don't understand you, especially your friends in employment who have predictable salaries. At the end of the month, they know. You, if you play around the next month, you're zero, because your business decided the economy has hit us, tax has gone up today, this month, come up to save last month, you're sleeping hungry. So again, your risk appetite really matters. People who are willing to make decisions that are not kawaida, okay? And then the third one is the risk capacity. Well, the way Kina, Benaya, and Collins were saying, they were able to, who was this? I don't know. I think one of them was saying that about them investing when they were small, that those whole stories we said. Your risk capacity is going to be determined by your factors like income. If you don't have money, guys, there's no way you're going to invest. So even as much as we're talking about investing, we should actually talk about, you have to make the income first. Once you make the income first, then you should think about investing. So if your income is still at zero, you can put this note somewhere and manifest and talk to God and be like, God, I have this information, but help me make this money, because there's no way you're going to invest if you don't have income. So your risk capacity can be based on income. It can also be based on your age. Someone who is 21 can risk and invest in any crazy shit because they have enough time to solve their problems. They don't have a child they have to take care of. But then the older you become, the more risk averse you become, okay? Because imagine you have small youths walking around. Are you about to just risk in anything? No. The third thing I'm going to talk about, and maybe let me stop here and we will catch up later, is your investment objective. I've found many people coming to me and saying, hey, Oli, we really talk a lot about money. What should I invest in? And I'm just like, that's why I'm not a coach. That's why I'm a wellness girl, because I'm not about to give you guys a certified advice. I'm a Suju wealth advisor. I'm not that. I'm always in the path of educating you to help you make the right decision and not me to make the decision for you. Now, every time you're about to invest, ask yourself, what's the objective? So you're probably going to ask me, Olive, what is the goal and what is the difference with an objective? Now, there are 3 investment objectives. One is safety. Safety means you have, let's say you have a small business or you're employed or whatever, you make a small income coming in, but you want to just have a form of safety. So you'll hear financial coaches, because I'm not one, keep telling you, you have to build an emergency fund. You have to have 6 months of your expenses saved. They're not talking like that out of their ass. Oh gosh, guys, sorry. They're not just talking like that. They actually mean you have to have a form of a fund somewhere, because you might have a rainy day, you might be sick one day. Life throws curveballs, guys. You might wake up one day and you are redundant in your job, or your business is not serving its time because you've been replaced by AI, So if you've not saved some cash somewhere, safety just in case of anything, let me tell you, when you run a business is when you realize being sick is a problem. You become sick and you're the one who does everything in your business because you're still self-employed and not entrepreneur. And now you have to get better to work, and you don't even have kidogo money to survive and be like, what can you take a break in July? That's when you see why an emergency fund or saving for safety is important. Now, let me give you places you can do this. People talk about fixed deposit accounts. I am not a fan because those interest rates are just a joke. So you can look at money markets. Many people have talked about money markets. Well, it's not like the interest is all that, but it's better than having your money just chilling in an account. You can put it in a money market. Now, the second investment objective, I know I've become like a teacher. Let me summarize. 118 of you are just probably like, Ude Mama Lizzie. The second one, income. Now, let me tell you guys, this is where I am currently. no, actually, let me talk about, this is where I am currently, but I'll explain why in a bit. Now, income is you're looking to save in areas that actually bring you money, or rather not just save, but invest. You don't want to have saved, let's say you earn 50,000, let's just be like, that's the cap. And your expenses are, let's say, 35,000 or 40, and you can save 10,000 a month. If you were to save 10,000 a month consistently in the whole year, you have around 120,000, right? You could decide to do an income investment. So income investments are investments that actually bring you income. So now these ones will need you to read and research, because I believe in reading and researching. So go and look at bonds. You hear people saying, I've got a bond from the government to do with 12% what? That's an income, because you're going to be given like, you're going to be given a percentage over a duration of time. Another thing you hear people saying is dividend bearing shares. Now, again, itabidi mwende kusoma. Sawa, itabidi mwende kusoma, because mimi si coach, mimi ni wellness queen. Now, you will have to read around stocks and shares in the country that can actually pay you a dividend. And let me not lie to you guys, the honesty qua ground. These things, if you want to see more money come from them, you have to put more money from, like you have to put more money to see money come. And you can also consider SACCOs. So you hear someone saying, Nico, Stima SACCO, but then again, another disclaimer is it's good to save in a SACCO if you intend to borrow a loan, because a SACCO is a saving and credit cooperative operation society. So basically you save and you are able to get credit. So if you're going to go the SACCO route, at least borrow a loan somewhere, because your money will be tied there for the dividends that everyone else borrows. But if not, then just consider like a share or a stock that pays dividends, okay? Msinunue stocks na shares zenye zinakaa kwa account tu zikingaa hivi and they're not paying you any dividend. Some good dividends bearing shares are like banks. Let me tell you, if you see the amount of money Kina Kenyatas get because of how much their shares and stocks are in these banks, hey, you will wish you were born there. Anyway, last word, guys, I'm about to be done. One other objective you should look at is growth. Now, up until Sasa, I can say is if you're looking for long-term gains, and if you've noticed, safety is very short-term. Safety is you're buying something that you're trying to invest in something. You're trying to buy or invest in something short-term, you invest in safety. Income is very, very good, especially if you're entering a stage where you're about to start a family, you're about to have a lot of responsibilities, and having that passive income, let me tell you guys, it works wonders. And now growth is when you're looking very long term. I'm talking about land, guys. Land is cash preservation. You're locking in money for 7 to 10 years, you know. If you're looking at things like property, long term. If you're looking at crypto, as much as people think it's short term, unless you're trading, but if you're long term investing, it's also long term. Now, let me take a break because I feel like I've been yapping for too long. But that's how I that's how I make decisions when I'm investing. And in case mko na maswali, mtalipa to consultation. But let's continue the project and the webinar, okay?
Thank you so much, Olive. I was just here noting, like, Nandika sana. There's a lot you can learn from everything that you have mentioned. And I think one of the key things that I like you've talked about is SACCOs, which is a good segue to Kezia. You could please talk about some of the things that you've seen SACCOs do and the benefit of platforms like Ecoba. So if someone is trying to get into investments, we've heard that SACCOs is one of the greatest ways to start. How do you track your money in SACCOs? How does Ecoba come in? And how could people at least trust the SACCO that they get in?
All right. Okay, that's a very huge question. In terms of SACCOs and where I sit, right? I think the first thing is to understand what's the SACCO about, right? And like what are the nitty-gritties, you know, in terms of if you put money and maybe you want to get it out the next day, or if you save it for 6 months or 12 months. I think first thing is understanding. what it's about, right? And also the cost, right? You can be told you put 10K and then it is 12% per annum, and then by the time you get, they're removing management fees, they're removing, I don't know, taxes, they're removing. So at the end of the day, you find it has actually even costed you more than what you've actually put. So like what they all have said, I think first thing is be sure where you're going to put your money. Like ask all the questions, know all those percentages in terms of taxes and you know, that kind of stuff. And I was even seeing someone who was talking about life insurance and all that. One thing that most people don't, I've realized, don't know about insurance, maybe insurance companies should do better, is the good thing about investing in insurance, in some of the insurance products, is you get back the taxes and sometimes you don't pay taxes. So it's always good to know, you know, the pros and cons for every investment you make, whether it's in a circle, whether it's in an insurance company or an investment bank, you know, like ask all the questions so that, you know, if I put in 10,000 and I remove it by end of the year, how much exactly am I gonna get? So don't be fooled by 15% per annum. There is some fees they're gonna remove there and then you end up with 5%, right? There's also another thing of, okay, in case, because investment is a risk at the end of the day. In case something happens, like COVID, for example, what will happen to my money? Do they have like a minimum amount they give? So it's good to know all those things, right? And in terms of Ecoba, what we do is we've realized that the investment side of things, and you know, for people who put in money and also borrow credit on the credit side, it can be quite hectic and overwhelming because we have so many credit products and we have so many insurance products. So what we've done at Ecoba is to based on the different partners that we have, we create specific products with them. Something that is easy and understandable for everyone. If someone comes and, you know, you ask about, okay, if I put in money for 6 months, these are the benefits. So I'm not trying to sell 10 products on my platform and then someone gets confused, you know, along the way. So we both on the credit product and on the saving product, we've handpicked specific few products that actually speaks to our customers. So there is no need for me to put a mortgage product and I don't have anyone who wants to buy land on my platform, for example, right? So we have customized products for specific kind of groups and individuals that we have on the platform. And we make sure we explain very well, you know, you're even able to contact us and everything so that we give you full information before you put in any money, so that you're not fooled, you know, by the end of the year, you start wondering, oh, I thought you told me, you know, this percentage, how come I'm getting this? And also the terms of, in case I want to remove my money, what are the penalties, or are there any? Because some investments don't have any penalties, some do have penalties. Yeah, so I think first thing first is get full information about where you're putting your money, whether it's an emergency fund. You know, most people talk about MMF as one of the best, you know, emergency funds. Whether it's a long-term thing, let's say if you want to get more returns, maybe with, you know, with investment banks like SIB, for example, they have a great product actually called Mansa X. So there is so many products available out there. But the best thing is, please get information. Otherwise, hey, you'll be fooled. You'll be fooled and you will be disappointed in terms of investment and also for savings. Yeah, because I believe savings and investment is quite different. Most people tend to tie it together, but it's totally different in terms of, you know, when you're talking about savings and investment. Yeah.
Okay, so there was a tiny bit about how people can get into SACCOs as well, and how you have seen the successful rate of the SACCOs, actually the ones that you have been working on. Would you advise someone to get into a SACCO? And have you seen good impact stories from SACCOs and people who've developed themselves because of a SACCO?
Yeah, definitely. We do have seen good stories. Unfortunately, I don't. We don't. How can I say? We don't offer SACCO products directly on our platform. We more enable SACCOs to offer their products to their individuals. However, on Ecoba as it is, we stand to be very how can I say, we are not, we create our own products with partners. So if there is SACCO X or insurance X, right? Because right now, even banks actually, we have products that, you know, we sit with banks and I'm like, these are the kind of customers I have, and I want this particular product, and this is the rate that I think is, you know, is best for my customers. So we have our own individual products within the platform. On Ecoba. So yes, SACCOs, of course, there's so many success stories. Even Ecoba, you know, the backstory, it's based on the community savings, right? Seeing our parents and, you know, relatives and, you know, going through, you know, they have saved, you know, and probably, you know, there's so many people here, you'd be surprised to find that most of their school fees were paid out of their mom's chamas and all that. Yeah, so we deal directly with our own customers, and we have our own custom-made products, yes. And we are also open to always custom make, you know, even more products for our individuals, yeah.
Thank you so much, Kezia. I think that is really great information. Personally, I have always wanted to get into a SACCO or see how to develop myself through one. So just hearing that they actually do work, I know they work, but sometimes things collapse, you know, and you can never fully trust it. So if I get all the information, then that way I'm able to invest better. And over to you, Benaya, at the moment. So we're talking about payments and people getting paid, but how can people track their payments, and what is the significance with online payment platforms and how someone can probably manage their finances? And you could also probably talk about a little bit about Get Paid and the impact you have done so far.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annabelle. I think the beauty of like the times we live in right now, or just being, you know, this age, is the fact that there are a lot of tools out there that you can use, you know, either for like just managing your finances, be it like right from you know, earning that is getting paid, all the way to saving, investing, transacting, and all these things, and even just tracking how much you're making. But just as has been echoed by the other speakers, first key step towards even just selecting a tool, or, you know, deciding what you end up to use as far as, you know, your money is concerned, is essentially understanding, just doing your research and just you know, trying to learn and understand what each of these things do. I'll give an example of money markets. Right now, when you go to Play Store, there are like a million different apps, you know, that offer like a platform for you to like invest in a money market. There's Mansa X, there's Genghis Capital, even M-Pesa has its own, Safaricom has its own, I think, with partnership with Genghis Capital called Mali. There are a lot of tools out there. But then, you know, I think it's really important to echo the fact that, you know, we should not be lost in the hype of fintech and, you know, all these financial technology products, and like forget, you know, to do like our initial, you know, due diligence as far as that is concerned. Probably just a little bit on what we do at Paid. I mentioned that at some point I ended up, you know, surviving on freelancing. And one key thing I realized, which I think most of you know, our audience here would relate to, is the fact that as a freelancer, if you ask me how much I made last month, I can't necessarily tell you. And you know, the big problem with that is the fact that if I can't know how much I'm making in a month, you know, compared to my friend who's like earning a salary at the end of the month, then I cannot do all these things. I cannot budget. I cannot, you know, decide how much I'm investing. I cannot decide how much I'm saving, and that then becomes like a whole huge problem. And so, as a freelancer myself, together with my co-founder, we ventured into building a solution that would ideally help freelancers, you know, from the beginning just get paid. Hence the name, Get Paid. So, you know, they can collect payments by this platform, and they can also be able to track their payments, so you can be able to see how much you're making in a month. And even beyond that, just offering additional value and services, you know, including just helping them to sort of budget and just plan out their finances. And they're looking even to integrate other services for savings and even investing. And you know, from the journey of building Paid and just interacting with other freelancers, and even just from my personal experiences, I think one of the key things I have come to learn is okay, just even before I highlight that, it would be important to just share what tools I use myself. So ideally, primarily I invest in money market. I invest in Genghis Capital. I also buy stock shares. I don't have I don't have an affinity for like Kenyan stock. I buy like stock mostly from like US corporations on HISA, and I think where most of my money goes to is I invest in myself and the startups that I'm building. As Olive said, when you're younger, you have like a lot of space like for a lot of high risk investments, and like building startups is one of those. But again, just as you're saying, Annabelle, the beauty of all of this is the fact that, you know, for instance, when you talk about budgeting, that like there are a lot of tools that can help you get that done, right? But I think the most important thing is just, as I was saying, the most important thing is just even understanding like what, you know, the what and the how you're like getting into this. John Maxwell said that budgeting is all about telling your money where it should go and not, you know, starting to wonder where it went. You know, so I think for young people, just understanding from the best point, understanding why you're like getting into a culture of saving and investing is really, really important. And, you know, that has been mentioned that even from like the onset, you should have like a goal that you're like saving or investing into. For instance, I'd say as far as Paid and you know, startups generally, when I'm putting money into like the startups that I'm building, even beyond like you know, investing into providing solutions to other people, I am ideally investing in my future, because, you know, startups are like long term. When you talk of like you know, for instance, money markets, as I mentioned, comparing like between a money market and like keeping money in your account, the returns are, you know, comparatively better. So over time, then you like get to even just grow your finances. So growing your finances could even like just be a goal on its own. When you look at stock, depending on you know, what your day-to-day is, that could also be like a long-term investment. So ideally understanding the what and the how is like really important. Second thing that I'd say is like ideally key is which most of us like young people are not sort of really keen on, is consistency, patience, and focus. And like this feeds into your question on like there being a lot of platforms out there. How do they going in that? You see, most young people are going for quick gains, right? They want the platform that will give them the quickest cash possible. And as a developer, I know, like as a software developer, I know that is what you want. So when I'm building, when I want to like make quick money off you, I'll sell to you a platform that will give you 100% return in the next 2 weeks. And like that then becomes a problem, because you end up throwing money, for lack of a better word, because you're after like, you know, very quick gains. Another key problem as far as like that is concerned is this: when you go to Play Store, you'll find like a million loan apps. right, that are like ready and willing to give you money, and how that like feeds into generally your entire financial habit is the fact that if like when you're taking like a lot of debt for non-necessities, and even like taking a lot of debt from like platforms that are not, I'd say healthy, looking at just even like the interest rates that these guys are charging, then you end up down the line curtailing your ability to like save and invest, because then like you have a pile up of debt that you need to like cover for. And even beyond that, like you affect, like, say, your credit score, which could like be really important as far as when you're investing in the long term comes. So I think generally what I'm just trying to say is when like you're looking at getting into like investing, like saving, first key step is just to understand what the how and the why, how you're going to get into it, and why you're doing it. And when you look at the how, there are a lot of solutions out there, and the key to like sifting through these solutions, number one is first of all looking at it from like a point of patience and focus, not just going for where the quickest gains are, but looking at what works best for you. And even above all, just being consistent with like your efforts as far as investing in saving is concerned.
Thank you so much, Ben. I think the key thing that stands out from especially what you're doing at Get Paid is that you are actually encouraging people to track everything that they're spending on, and you are providing a platform that people can track their savings, can track their payment solutions, can track who owe them money, and things like that. Something we know freelancers really suffer with. And Collins, to you, I think we usually lose a lot of transaction money, and I think Kianda is really good at ensuring that that doesn't happen. How can people foresee the amount of money they lose in between their payments, paying other people? It should be a small amount, but I think it adds up. And so is there, as Kianda does, is there any other way that people could probably ensure they maximize on every coin that they get?
Thank you, Annabelle. First of all, as one of my colleagues, is my CGO, is called Elias. He normally says, if I give you 1,000 bob or 100 shillings or $1 cash right now, there's no transaction cost in between. There's no cost. I mean, handing over to you, there's no cost. So at some point, it doesn't make sense for a transfer, in as much as you're using a channel, it doesn't make sense for you to incur nearly, I think, 1% or 2%, or even 3 to 5%. Worth of that value of the amount is transaction cost. So what we do at Kianda, we try to save you as much as almost 80% of all banking and mobile money transaction cost, because we feel like this is something that you would utilize, and especially going back to what happened in 2020, the COVID, that extra shilling that we would save you now, you don't know how much it would accumulate to be. And in as much as you are transacting right now, sending 100 bob, 1,000 bob every day, if you take a cumulative amount of the transaction cost that you incur on a daily basis and total it at the end of the month, then that's when you know that you're really losing out a lot of money. That then this money can be utilized. Maybe you can rechannel this to any investment plan that you have to achieve maybe something. And maybe not even to mention some of these things, but let me just give an example of M-Pesa in Kenya. That is, M-Pesa in Kenya is a convenience. I mean, it's all about convenience. But did you know that M-Pesa is the most expensive platform? But people don't really look at the cost. People really look at the convenience. And this is where fintechs really come in. And as Benaya said, it's all about creating something that someone would be comfortable using. So if I feel like using this platform X, since I'm saving this amount of money at the end of the month, then it's a preference. It's something that I personally would love to do, to save this X amount of money. But if you would like to continue using the high transaction-based platforms, then it's also your preference as well. But personally, we at Kianda normally advise people to opt for something that will enable you to, save that extra coin. And saving this extra coin, then that's where it comes in. I mean, that's where you get that extra coin to invest. I know Olive said, where is this money coming in? And one of the places that people lose money and no one sees this, this is like hidden cost to everyone globally, is the transaction cost within the banking ecosystem and the mobile money ecosystem. So if you would save this extra coin evidently and get it at the end of the month, then you're able to get at least an income, not that big, not that small, but something that you can utilize to maybe channel it to an investment plan or something. Then you can maybe have something from there.
Thank you so much, Collins. I think what keeps standing out is that extra coin is where your investment is at. And this is when you have already done your bills. Personally, let me just say I'm a little bit old school, so I still have my Excel sheet that I use, and I track all the things that I spend on. This is included with the transaction cost, and sometimes it comes up to like a really big number. And so being aware that these are some of the things that are eating into your money, that 100 bob somewhere, that is what you can get to invest in. And just to give the panelists a break a little bit, we will now start answering the questions on the chat. So Violet says, what motivates someone to save consistently? How can one be accountable for themselves? And I think this has been one of the key things that every panelist has talked about. You just need discipline. You need to have a goal that you want to save towards. So if you have, say, you're saving towards a short-term goal, then you know that that's the type of saving plan that you should work with. If you are thinking about what Olive mentioned, a long-term type of investment, then that is your goal, and you put in measures to at least benefit from that. Violet also asks, is there a way a saving starter can save? Is there a way a saving starter can save, like something can be rewarding? I'm not sure what your second question means, but you could rephrase it and then we answer it. Eric, thank you for asking your question, says, I have a problem with cash flow for my small business. Any suggestions or resources will be appreciated. I think I want to throw this to Benaya. Where can people get cash flow? What has Paid done to get a cash flow and capital, in your opinion?
So I think I think the first thing that I would advise anyone who's like getting into business or even into like startups, there's a very slight difference. Is number one, you need to be ready to like make lots of sacrifices initially. I think again, I just go back to the whole idea of how like being quite investing into startups and like businesses and ideas and solutions that you have at a really young age is an advantage, because you have like the space and the latitude to like make taking risks. For instance, for myself, when we were getting started with Paid, I literally should I say, I had nothing to lose, if Paid worked or didn't. And like the initial capital that we had to deploy, into Paid, just to get on our feet, was literally flow from like our savings. And it again feeds back to the whole conversation, right? And so initially you'll have to spend from your pocket just to set things up. And so it's also good to just have a plan, as Colin said, just have a plan before you walk into it, and just look at what you need to set up first before you get into that. Second thing that I advise fellow founders is don't start a business with or a startup for that matter with a focus on like getting external funding. start a business, having should I say, profitability at the back of your mind every single day. And what do I mean by that? I mean that the best investor in your business, or the best investor in your startup, besides yourself, is your customer. So then when you're building a solution that people can actually pay for, and you can map out how, what you're making from providing the solution to these people, then that provides you with, cash flow becomes less of a problem for you. For instance, I remember when, like, earlier on when we were starting paid, one of the key questions we're asking ourselves, just as Collins was saying, one of the biggest challenges is has to do like transaction costs. And so how are we going to make money if we're not like getting transaction costs from the users? And we made sure that we sort of understood the entire journey of like our customers, and understood what exactly they want before we even got to the process of getting to build the platform. And ideally, what I'm just trying to bring out with that is the fact that it is really important for you, especially for a business, it is really important for you to, first of all, really understand how you're going to make money before you even start thinking of how you're going to raise money. That makes any sense. I think Collins has, is like, Kianda is a good example. They've bootstrapped Kianda for like the longest time possible. I think right now they're hitting close to 5 million quarterly active users. And looking at the time, looking at the numbers at which these guys are doing at this point, if like their focus was entirely on raising capital, I think Collins will confirm this, they would have probably closed shop a couple of months or years ago. But when you focus on providing value to your end customer, and the end customer is then again able to pay for this value, that provides you like with an easygoing as far as business is concerned and cash flow is concerned, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And probably, Collins, you may want to add into that a little bit. But Mark Muriri is asking, what are some of the sound financial tips to consider when trying to save up or invest? Olive did a really good deep dive on some of the tips, and I'll still throw it back to her to answer this. A few financial tips to consider when trying to save up or invest. You had the 5 investment pillars.
Oh, I think I was still on the guy for cash flow, so my mind hasn't even registered that you've moved me to somebody else. Okay, can I just get the cash flow one out?
Yes, you may, yes.
So I was reading Eric's question, and he's like, he refills perfumes. And although I really appreciated Benaya's answer, I felt like it was very startup-based answer and not like brick and mortar refilling perfume answer, because I think when you're building an app or a website or a platform, definitely you have to think of how you're going to make like money before you think of how you're going to raise it. But then if I look back at when I was starting my rabbit farming, how am I going to make money if I don't have money to actually buy the rabbit so that it gives birth, and then those babies can be fattened and then sold? Guys, able to go realistic hapa. How am I going to make money if I don't have money? And that's something I usually tell anyone who comes to me and they're like, can I start a business with no money? Me, I don't lie. You can, but is it easier? Hell no. Hell no, guys. If you need to make money, you somehow need to have money. Okay, and now let me not take this long. So Eric, I wanted to type out the answer. I was actually writing down my notes and I was thinking about your problem. Cash flow is a very huge problem, and I totally understand it because I have been there and I know what he's going through. Now I will give you my tips. I hope they will help, but this is what I'll say, and some are not fun, but here they are. 1, you kind of have to make money, and if your business is not making you money, you have to look for something that will make you money. It's either you look for a job, you look for a side hustle, but let me tell you guys, this world runs with money, let's not lie. So Eric, you need to look or find a way to make money. 2, you need to be given the money. Now, this is how I started my farming business. Now, there are 3 people who are going to give you money: friends, family, and fools. Okay, you know those fools are around to just dish money out. They exist. Okay, I got my money to buy those rabbits that I'm saying I could not have bought them with air from my parents. I remember I had to draft a whole proposal, because how have you finished your school? Umemaliza degree, you're not trying to look for a job, you're here still in my house asking for more money, yet me, I assume I've washed my hands. I had to draft a whole proposal explaining to my parents why I just need an extra boost to make this thing stand up for itself a bit. Them being able to see the sense, they were able to give me the money. Well, was it a lot of money? No, but was it something to help me with the cash flow? Yes. If you have cash flow problems as well, reduce your expenses to the core. This is the time where if you're looking for things for your business, you look for the most affordable while still maintaining quality. You cut down your expenses, because if cash flow is not in, it's because the amount of your selling is not as high as your amount of expenses. So there's no money to actually give you money to stock up. So reduce your expenses, but also try and sell as much as you can, and maybe start reading about sales and marketing so that you can start bringing in money, or finding ways to sell those perfumes by force, by fire. Now, the 3rd thing is to borrow a loan. I don't recommend it, especially for a business, a small business. You might enter into more problems. But then again, you don't know. Maybe the Lord is by your side, and maybe this loan will keep you awake from 12 to 5, looking for ideas to make your business work. You know, there are people who they need to be thrown in the fire to wake up. So they think of a loan and the interest rate and they wake up. My 4th tip would be to look for opportunities online. I have seen grants opportunities, angel investors in like online spaces. You see someone saying, we're going to be giving out grants to these people, come and join the 16-week program. Whoever has the best idea, we will give you a grant of $100, $300, $600. Well, are they always there? Yes, but no at the same time. So are you also actively looking for opportunities to help you fund your business? So there's really no shortcut to it. I think that's it for the cash flow person. And now to go back to Mark's question for my financial tips to consider when trying to save or invest. Kezia said something very important. Saving and investing is very different, fam. Guys, we need to get the line. When you're saving up, you're actually putting in money somewhere and like locking it, not really locking it, but you've like kept money somewhere for like a goal in the future. The way I said, when you're saving for money, you can save for a particular item. When you're saving, you're not really looking at growing the money. You're not really looking, okay, you're looking at growing, but not maybe to the extent of investing. Investing is very, very different. You're looking at, what if this investment is not good? It's not good. What if I lose my money? What if I've not done enough research to know the risk and return ratio? Investment is different. Now, I did share my tips, and I'll type them in the comments. Guys, my battery is dying. 1 minute. Oh yeah, I'm gonna type them out and then send them to everyone. But I think I already shared that, but in case I do have any other point, I'll let you guys know. So maybe let me let Anne continue, and then I'll type out my answer.
Okay, thank you so much, Olive. I think some of the things that we actually need to accept as a society is that people actually end up taking loans, and most of the people think that loans are actually bad ideas, because not everyone is going to get a grant, or not everyone will be supported by their family or friends. So it's just about having a reputable credit score. So I know that you can definitely see how to maintain this by reading. You know, these days there's a lot of information online. Like, you can definitely teach yourself a whole masterclass on where you want to invest. And someone in the question and answer area is asking how to invest in stocks abroad. I know someone like a company like I&M offer this. They do offshore accounts. So it's just diving deep into looking at some areas that you are interested in, and how, like, getting more information, as everyone has said, and ensuring that even as you're trying to invest, you know the right areas, you know the right platforms to use, and you actually read about the area you'd want to go into. And then let me read another question. We are almost done. Unfortunately, we might not be able to finish all the questions that we have here, but this will be a series of classes. So in case we don't cover your question for this one, just be on the lookout for the next financial literacy masterclass. You can always reach out to everyone on the panel on their LinkedIn, and they can definitely share links on this, just so that you can have a one-on-one informational session with them. So I will read one from Felix. How can we find credible information on stocks, bond, and bond options, e.g. platforms to buy and sell? Who among our panelists would want to answer this? Collins, Kezia?
Okay, let me pick up that. I also wanted Kezia to also add up something. But yeah, I think in as much as our online space here in Kenya doesn't have more information on how stocks, how these bonds operate, but I feel like some of these maybe organizations like Genki, Stock of Daima banks. I mean, some of these banks that and organizations that offer these investment services, they also have some sort of master classes and also trainings that you can join and learn more. Here you get a chance to interact with a person, on a one-on-one person on a live basis, so that you're able to ask them questions on what you need clarity on. So I feel like you should focus more on getting to know these companies that offer these services, and also follow whether they have these master classes, register and join, because most of them are normally free. So I think with this, you'll be able to get and learn more on the stocks, on the bonds, and the other investment opportunities that are there in the country.
Kezia, do you want to add to it?
All right. So in terms of stocks and bonds, I usually work with investment banks personally, though it may require a little bit more of capital because they usually take something, I think, from 250,000 Kenya shillings. So how I have managed to do that is, of course, in the group saving model. So I save with my friends, right? So when we save together, we are able to collect a lot more money together, and then we are able to take it to investment banks, and then we are able to get more profit based on, the fact that we have saved together. But there is also the accountability bit, when you know that you've not saved on time or you've not saved, your friends will be able to know, this month, how come, So that's what personally I do. It has worked for me so far. It might not work for everyone, but if you have like a group of friends or family members sometimes, and you really trust them, and you guys have maybe the same goals, preferably, you are able to save together and actually gain more when you save together, and also very accountable, when you're doing it together. Another thing that I wanted to add, actually, on my perspective of investment, is quite different from what we've been talking about. Is something I value a lot, that I think that most of us, the young people, have, is time, right? So it's very important to know that time is also an investment. As young people, we have the luxury of time. So if getting that money is going to require you to work 15 hours a day, unfortunately, that's the only resource you have. You'll have to sacrifice the time. And then it will reach a certain level in your life where you're like, okay, now I have enough money to sacrifice money to make more money. So it's very important to know at what stage am I at in my life. Am I able to sacrifice my time, my money? Like, what is it, right? Because maybe you get a salary of maybe 40K, right? And living in Westlands might not be the right, the right choice, because simply it's maybe expensive, even if it's near the office. But then there is a time where you're like, okay, I have enough money, I cannot live far because I need to be in the office early, right? So it's a very important stage to know that, okay, do I sacrifice my time, or do I sacrifice money to get more money? So that's one thing that I felt that I should add onto what we were talking about, investment. And then now the other last thing is networking. Yes, when you're starting a small business or a big business or whatever business, yes, there are so many opportunities online. We see grants and angel investors and all that. But to be honest, people invest in people because they know them. It's not a random human being who is just, you've met online, it's a VC, and then they will come, boom, tomorrow they've given you money. So you need to create that network. If there is events, if there is, you just be there, make sure they know you. Because as you build those relationships, those people will come through at some point. Yeah, so that's it on my end.
Thank you, Kezia. You've really said something important. People invest in what they know and people they know. So it's also in terms of building your own personal brand. How do you sell yourself when you go to these networking events? How do you sell your product? How do you make someone trust you to invest their big capital on you, and also it's vice versa in terms of how do you know where to put in investments? And I think this is a recurring question that I'm seeing around. I'd like to know what are some of the methods you use to reliably invest your money? Or I think someone else is also asking, how do you know on a good area to invest on? And I think this was covered by Kezia. Get all the information you need. Look at some of the goals that you'd want to achieve. Ensure that this aligns with the areas that you'd want to actually go into. So you can't tell someone you'd want to invest, say, in farming, and you know that they usually don't invest in such products. And also another question someone is asking, how much does it take to set up an app, and what are some of the requirements one could look into? Collins and Ben, could you probably take that up?
Yeah, definitely. I think first things first, and I tell this to people a lot, like mostly people who want to venture into like building startups. One of the biggest mistakes you can ever make, getting into a startup or just investing into building, an app or a platform, is going into it from the perspective of I am going to build an app or I'm going to build a website. The best angle or the best way to like get into it is I am going to solve a problem. So ideally, you're investing in solving a problem and solving a problem really well that people will be willing to like pay, for your solution. Because again, at the end of the day, the goal is to make money, right? As far as how much that would take, it really depends on like what you're getting into. But again, just as Casey has said, one of like the biggest resources we have at this age is literally time. Every single day or every single time I'm speaking to my dad, he asks me how I am able to like balance working on 2 startups and working at Ireland as well at the same time. And I think I keep telling him that the fact that I am 21 and I am able to like do all these things, to me, just is like the best investment of like, the time and the greatest resource I have, as Casey has said at this point. And so the biggest cost that you're going to incur as far as setting up, your own startup or, building your own solution is concerned is probably the sacrifices you're going to make. If you're going to write code yourself, lots of late nights, probably you need to start by learning how to write code. PLP is a good place to start on that. I think the links are in the chat. And but even beyond that, of course, it depends on which field you're getting into. If it's a low, what's the word? If it's an asset light, you're going on an asset light model, say for instance paid, where you're building software, you'll ideally spend less than if you're going for an asset heavy model startup. But yeah, I think that basically sums it up for me. Probably Collins can just add more on that.
I think Ben made it clear. Also, one thing that should be put into consideration: not all businesses actually require maybe a mobile app or even a website. It just depends with the industry that you're in. Because I think for a mama mboga shop, it doesn't require you to need to have maybe a mobile application for this. So depending on the business, the type of business, then this one gives you the need to explore such options. So, and also if you have a running business, and this is a business that requires maybe something like a website, then this can come at a later note, so that you don't focus quite a lot on the expenses that come in with websites and mobile applications when you're starting up the business, but focus on solving the problem, as Ben has said. So I think just depends with the type of business. Then from this, from the type of business, then that's when you come in and bring in other additions of branding that can help you bring more customers and bring more trust to the business as well.
Sorry, Bella, just before you jump back on that, I think it's also important to mention that one of the key things we're building at Paid is a platform where generally freelancers, creatives, and even online entrepreneurs can just sort of start off as far as building a platform for their businesses is concerned. So one of the key features we have is the ability for our users to create custom no-code payment pages. So you can just go and quickly create a drag and drop page where you can start off, you can kick off the business journey. And the good thing with that is you can then build a place where you can get quick feedback, as well as just get to manage the financials of your startup. So yeah, probably something anyone who's getting into that should check out.
Thank you, Ben. So a lot of you are asking about where you can get this information and how to make sure it's credible. And I'll just read what Colin sent to the chat. It is crucial to verify that the channels you choose for investment in the online space are regulated by the relevant authorities. So you can always research into a platform. There's one here in Kenya. People used to track their budgets and everything, and this is regulated by, I think it is regulated by the government. I don't know if I'm lying about it. And you can always just do a background check to these specific areas and see who is running it, how long have they been there for, who are some of the people that actually use it. Is it someone from, well, not discriminating from the village, but is it just someone who wants to make money quickly? And this is to enable you not to make bad financial decisions, which leads me to our last question to the panelists. I see people really want your handles, so make sure you at least type your LinkedIn or whichever platform you'd want them to find you on. What are some of the mistakes and pitfalls that you have made as investors and people in the financial space? I think for me, it's probably investing in short-term goals that then I realized that I actually put all my money in a short goal, and then I have to start from scratch all over again. I think a lesson that I learned from that is to at least break the saving into what is going into your short-term goal and what's going into a long-term goal. That way, if 10% of your income or 10% of your stipend goes into saving, then 10% can go into a long-term goal. So breaking it down has helped me. So yeah, I will start with Kezia.
So the pitfalls, you mean personal or general?
I think you could do general. What are some of the pitfalls you've seen people fall into, especially as they start getting into investments?
And we need personal, guys. We need
I
to
mean,
no, guys. We've not
I don't want, you know, she knows where I stay, she knows the office. I don't want someone to, you
But
know.
that's how we learn, guys. That's how we
Yeah.
learn. I need to know, like, this wonderful, amazing CEO of Ecoba, has she made mistakes? If she gives us general, then where do we actually learn from? You know? So,
Yeah.
guys, what's your perspective?
Kezia, I tried.
Okay, I will mix both, right? I'll do a mixture of both. So the general one I'd say is I think we tend to live for the now, right? So the money comes, we spend it, you know, we've seen that Annabelle has bought this car, so I have to get that car too. So I think we live sometimes beyond our means, right? Just to kind of flex around or show our friends and all that, which is a very risky place. That's when you start finding people borrowing for the wrong reasons, right? If there is one thing that I fear, it's loans. Like I don't even do Okoa. Like if I don't have credit, I don't have credit. Yeah, so let's not live beyond our means, because again, like what I said, time is our greatest asset, at least when you're starting. So you may not have that money to build that up. So you will have to spend time to learn how to code and build that up. And then the other thing is, like what Annabelle has just said, is long term. One thing I've been seeing lately is, yes, like what she said, sometimes we just, maybe because we don't have a lot of money to save or invest, we tend to see just, you know, the short-term goals. But also that now I found that it kind of blocks my vision to move to the next level. So when you start having those long-term goals, I know people talk a lot about manifestation, but that thing is real. Like when you've said that, I need to get land in the next 2 years. I don't know how maybe the universe aligns things, but things start coming, some, one way or another. Sometimes even the things you engage, because you have that, that vision that I want to get this, you kind of, you want to just be there. Like if someone comes and is wasting your time and they are not leading you to that goal, you don't even waste your time there. So it's really very important to understand the notion of time. We don't have that much time, but yes, we do have time at the same time. But also you need to see the long term, have those wild visions. It can be scary. It can be like, I don't know where I'm gonna start, but the moment you have it, somehow you figure it out with time. You don't have to figure it out right now, but it will eventually come.
Thank you, Kezia. To you, Olive, what are some of the pitfalls you have seen, or some that you have unfortunately fallen under?
Okay. I'll try and make this short because I know myself. What are the pitfalls? What are the pitfalls? What are the pitfalls? Okay, so for me, most of them are when I was venturing into crypto. I was even responding to some of you guys in the chat question. And with crypto, there was a lot of, I've not done enough research. I'm being told the way it's good. And this is why I really don't like relying on someone telling me, go this route. And then I go this route. I have not done my own research. I have not taken time to read and understand why they're saying go this route. So let's just say I made a ton of expensive mistakes, guys, in crypto mpaka nikajiuliza yenyewe, I'm sorry. And then I started telling myself, I think I am very rich, because I am just wasting money instead of actually trying to understand what I'm putting myself in. So I think for me, that's the one mistake, relying on hearsay investment opportunities. Someone is like, hey, I've put money on this platform, and I'm just like, okay, fine. And then you realize eventually that there's nothing like putting your money in a platform and making a tarnish of money. That is a lie, okay? I think another financial or like investing mistake that I can think of is, I actually can't think of any, guys. I think that's it for me, mostly crypto, because if I look at what Kezia said for people who follow with a lot of society standards, you want to do what everyone is doing. What I can say is, in case you're in that loophole where if someone comes and tells you they bought the latest iPhone, I just saw the announcement for iPhone is on September, and people are just like, "Hi, I'm looking to save for iPhone 15." I was like, "Sir, that is fine." But then if you're not in that headspace and mindset of trying to buy a new phone, now all of a sudden, because everyone is buying iPhone 15, you too, you will buy iPhone 15, and then you will not eat. What is the point? And actually, before I go, let me say two things, and please stop me in case I say more. One thing that I learned the other day is, and let me actually try to say it in a way that's more calming. I learned that in life, there is a line with 3 lines, okay? But let me tell you what these 3 lines mean. In this bottom line, it's a negative. In this middle line, it is a 0. And in this upper line, it's a positive. What am I trying to say? You guys here, 81 of you, plus the hosts and the panelists. You could be starting your life at a negative. What do I mean? You are probably being given help to go to school. You are probably coming from the village, trying to make ends meet in Nairobi. You're probably being hosted by your family members. Already your life is at a negative, not because it's by your will or by your choice, but because it's life. We are not all born at the same plate. So understanding that your life is at a negative is allowing yourself to make decisions based on that. So when you see people going to the club and saying, I am willing to spend all this money, ask yourself, me at where I know I am, can I do that? Because them, they're doing that because maybe their life is at a positive. Them, they're already at Kenyatta level where you don't even know how many pieces of land you're going to be left, because there are so many in this country, you might as well go to sleep. Please always think about where you are in life. Don't look at what everyone else is doing. So you could be at a negative, you could be at a 0. Maybe your parents have done enough to take care of you and until you're an adult, but they don't have extra. You are not an heir in any way. You know, that people who are like, I have a trust somewhere. I'm just like, wow, you have a trust? I love that for you. Yes, we have our own trust, our own trust in ourselves and our time to build wealth. So you may be at a 0, but at least you have time, the way Kezia has said. You have skills that you can learn online. You have opportunities that you can create, sort of use it. And now maybe one of you here is at a plus. You never know, where already things in life have been set. So before I continue and keep rambling, kindly understand the level at which you're in life, move accordingly, stop looking at what other people are doing, invest your time well, read books, keep coming to such seminars, and yeah, let me stop at that. Now the rest can continue.
Thank you so much, Olive. Over to you, Collins. And as you probably talk about your pitfall, here is a really important question. Should someone save, then invest, or invest, then save? I feel like you can do both at the same time, but let's hear from you.
I think it's more of a cycle. Get the income first, save, then invest, get the income again from these savings and from this investment that you've done, and do again the same cycle. Save, invest, save, invest. It's more of a cycle. And now coming back to maybe the pitfalls, I'll kind of be general because I think if we were to go deeply, we'd probably spend the whole day here. But I feel like when I was starting, I gave you 3 important points to really look at: having the plan, your portfolio diversification, and also this self-discipline. So I'll also add 4 more, but now I'll put them as a pitfall. So one is if you don't have a proper way of being patient. I don't know how to put it. You just want to invest, the following day you want to make $1 million. That one cannot work. It can't work unless it's out of this world. So you need to be patient. You've done this investment here. You've saved first. You then probably get these savings to do an investment. It's probably going to take time, depending on what type of an investment it is. Maybe if it's something physical like land, if it's something on the online space, forex, bonds, mutual bonds. I mean, so many things. It depends on how long they will take to mature and how long they will take to maybe appreciate. So you need to be patient. If you're not patient, then this is not going to work out for you. Then the other point, the second one is not having unrealistic expectations. I think Olive had mentioned this. So you want to invest today and tomorrow think of living in the most posh areas in your country. That one is also something that won't work out. If you want to invest and have a proper financial freedom, you need to first invest, get a runway. A runway is probably like 2 years free lifestyle. You can cater for your lifestyle for the next 2 years with these savings or this investment that you've done. Then from there, you can probably decide now you're able to focus on maybe living in and doing these posh things. So don't have unrealistic expectations when you're starting the investment or savings journey. The other thing would be keeping your costs low. This is your day-to-day costs. And I think I'd mentioned this when I was talking about the transaction charges, and not only looking at the transaction charges or mode of transacting your financials, etc., but you also looking at your day-to-day expenses. If you are spending more than you're earning, and this now makes you to go out of your way and maybe look for loans, look for more debt into a growing person really affects you, and it can really puncture you. So you can have a loan, you can have a debt for growing a business and grow it properly to an extent that you're able to sustain this. But do not dash to have high cost of living that would make you have, more debts and you're unable to get yourself out of there. Then the last one would probably be seeking professional advice. And I think this is what we are probably doing here, attending seminars, attending functions, attending financial literacy webinars. You need to listen to what other people are doing so that you're able to try, not to copy and try to be like them, but to try and learn or pick one or two things that you're able to take into consideration. Many people don't opt for seminars. Many people don't opt for maybe listening to some of these conferences. And I feel like that's a pitfall, because you will be out there alone. You have your monies, you're mismanaging your funds, you're mismanaging your portfolio. So you're unable to have a proper way of managing your finances. So I feel like that's one big pitfall that many people really have at the moment. So those are 7 points that I think if we would take into consideration, then I feel like no one would have any pitfall, no one would have any issue in this investment and saving space.
Thank you so much, Collins, for that deep dive. We will conclude with Benaya. Have you had a pitfall so far, and what would you advise from it?
Yeah, I think the biggest pitfall or like the biggest mistake I have made in my journey, just sort of trying to go as far as financial discipline is concerned, is not planning and like not planning of in simpler terms, not budgeting. Comes right from even just not understanding how much I'm making, not having that down somewhere. And not understanding how much I'm spending impulsively, and at the end of the day, it becomes a whole mess on its own. And I think again that is one of the biggest advice I give anyone who asks me what they need to do the journey towards achieving financial freedom. The first step is just understanding how you're earning and how you're spending. And even now, that helps you even now just understand how best you can save and eventually how best you can and then invest. And as Collins has rightfully said, it is one, it is like a circle, right? You earn You save, you invest, then you earn from the investments as it goes round and round. So being able to understand how, at both ends of earning, how much you're spending, and even at the end of the day, how much then you're going to save and invest is like really, really important. Many people ask me like, what is the best way to like structure your, your budget, or just structure how you spend, and basically how you for lack of a better word, deploy your income. And like there are a million rules out there. The people who will tell you there's a 40-40-20 rule, others will tell you there's a 50-30-20 rule, others will tell you there's a 90-10 rule. So there are like a million rules out there. But I think the key to understanding what works best for you is, first of all, as we've just been saying from the beginning, understanding what position you are in, how much are you earning, how much are you making. And from that point, then understanding what are your priorities and what is in your reach. Then now looking at what are you looking to achieve, like, both in the short term and in the long term. For instance, for myself, besides like the income from my salary, I'm also like making money from freelancing. So then every single month, I sit down and look at how much am I making from my income, how much am I making from freelancing, and thank God for pay, because now you can like track how much you're making from freelancing. This is me putting an ad in the middle of my speech. So like when I'm able to put both of these together, then I can then look at my priorities. What is my most immediate priority right now? The most immediate priority is building paid and putting it out there. And again, thank God for Mozilla coming through and the grant and all, which then help us reach even more people. And then now from that point, now I look at, particularly now at this stage, I have like I'm using the 50-30-20 rule, and I'm not saying that this works for everyone. This is what is working for me right now. So 50% goes into my needs. Yeah, I can see Olive already testing that. So 50% goes into my needs. 30% so goes into my wants, but my wants are a bit unconventional. My wants are not like parties and stuff. My wants at this point are like, stuff that generally lead to, for lack of a better word, I am a techie and a nerd. So I just like buy techie and nerd stuff that eventually contribute to me building my startup. and 20% is what now I like put into particularly money markets and buying stocks. At this particular point, that works for me. So again, just as I conclude, it is really, really, really important to understand what works for you, where you are, and what you want in the long term. And eventually, just as everyone has like said, have the right information. Just make sure you get a lot of as much information as possible on whatever you're like venturing into. Understand the right tools that you need to like do that, and even like more importantly, seek like advice from people who've already like gone before. And I think it's really awesome what PLP is doing, just sort of democratizing. That's a word we use a lot in startups. Democratizing, this information and making it readily accessible to like young people out there. So yeah, and lastly, you're a freelancer, use paid. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Olive. Thank you, Collins. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Kezia. This has been really educative, even for me. I came here knowing I will learn a lot, and I don't think you guys disappointed. Before we close, do any of you have anything you'd want to add? We are going past our time at the moment. Very short, please, in case there's any additional, yes, any additional information. Otherwise, everyone, thank you so much for being here. You could be doing anything else tonight, but you chose to invest in yourself. And I think that is the starting point to you investing young. And as you've seen, people aged 21, some 26, some 27, we don't know where, have really been doing great things here. So any panelist that has any budding thing that they may want to add? Okay, yes, Olive.
Yes, it's obvious. I am I think it's obvious by now, okay? So first of all, I like what Benaya said, and I hope people are actually paying attention, because as much as he talks in a very just like, 4 million type of way. He's actually saying like a lot of things. But I wanted to just give like a heads up to maybe anyone who is in like the gig economy. So what I mean is, again, you're not maybe employed, you don't have a predictable income. Sometimes the business is doing well, sometimes the business is not doing well. I personally don't use saving rules and budgeting rules because let's be honest, guys, and I've just said this, me, there's a month, I am the rich queen because my business decided I am going to Bahamas, okay? And then the next month, I'm about to just remind myself because Githeri is not so bad, okay? It's not so bad. So if you are in a type of business where there are months you're up and down and you're still trying to understand how to, which I'm currently going through, understand how to like level out your income, please save more during the peak seasons. Please save more during the peak seasons. I'm not about to sugarcoat. The only reason I was able to buy land is because there are 3 months that I was fully booked by brands. I was fully booked in my business. I have never actually seen a ton of money come in like that. So I was just like, okay, I have done a lot of reading. I've learned when you have so much money, you invest. And then I was just like, oh, Shamba, nah. And then I threw it there. You know what I mean? Now I'm a bit more learned, and for sure, I don't think I'd buy land right now, but it's okay. It's not a bad investment. So save more during your peak seasons. Now, when you're not in your best seasons, don't feel bad about not saving. I used to have this issue where I go to a seminar, everyone is like 50, 30, 20. I'm just like, wow. How much this month? I need to just pay rent to survive. So I stopped feeling the guilt of having to save when I have nothing. But when I have something, I save, and I save a lot. Okay. The second thing I'd like to say, which is the last one, because I know I can get very carried away, is we talked about how to spend and how to save. And I can see very many people here asking, someone here was asking, do you save or do you invest fast? I think you save fast. I don't know how you would invest if you don't have money to save. And someone had asked me prior, Olive, what do you mean you're able to buy land? Or what do you mean you're able to bootstrap for your business? Maybe these are things people don't say, but I like saying it because I feel like I've gone through 5 years of ups and downs that people need to know, and maybe your 5 years will be 1 year. My 5 years will be 1 year. When you're trying to save, sometimes you actually have to sacrifice, guys. And you might not be making a lot of money to cover your expenses, and then you have extra to invest. Sometimes you actually have to sacrifice the things that you like. Sometimes you have to sacrifice the things that you want so that you can actually save and invest, right? So it's not like it comes easy, you know, like, hey, I was rich and then I just had extra money and then I just put it in the account and then boom. No, I remember there are months I would look, I'm walking around and I want to buy that dress, but I'm like, I don't have to buy that dress. It's also learning that as Olive in Kirote, right? What value do I have over certain things? Let me give you guys an example. Benaya has said something very important. My wants are not conventional. My wants are things like tech stuff and things that maybe normal people maybe would not vibe with. But he's aware of he's aware of what he values. Now you're in Benaya's life, you see him buying, I don't know, a laptop of $1,000 or a phone for $1,000 or whatever take you guys do, guys, I don't know. And then now you're also having pressure, but you don't realize for him, he sees value in tech stuff, he's willing to spend. So please ask yourself before you spend your money, me as a person, what do I see value in? You know, there are people who their value is in cars and they're willing to, you know, like those guys who pimp their cars out, because this car looks like a joke, you've done everything. And then now you start feeling the need to do that, but you don't value cars. So I say the place you invest your time and the place you invest your money, it shows me the things you value. If you value books, I'm sure you would buy a ton of books to read. If you value, let's say, changing your hair, you're probably never going to miss a hair appointment. So don't force yourself to spend on things because people are spending and maybe in reality, you don't actually value that ish. Sit down, assess your values, and spend your time and spend money on things that you actually value, because let me tell you, the results are amazing. Guys, let me shut up. Good night. Don't give me this mic again.
I mean, thank you so much, Olive. As you can see, Olive has a lot to offer, and you can clearly follow her on her social media. She's sent this on the chat. try and see whether you can consult with her. Probably if you say you met her through the masterclass, she can give you a discount. I don't know. Well, she's nodding, so that's a good sign. Collins, Kezia, anything? We are about to close. Well, silence means okay. Go, Kezia.
All right. Thank you for having me here. I think next time I would also want to know what the other people, the participants, what are their savings habits, what have they invested. We would also want to learn from you guys. We don't know everything. Yeah, so collect that information so that now, next time we are also able to know what is everyone else doing. As their savings or investment options. The other thing, maybe the parting shot is don't feel bad if you've not done it yet, but there's still, at least now that you've come here, you've managed to learn something, you can always start today. And to be honest, celebrate the small wins. If it's taking yourself out, buying this, doing something that makes you feel good as well. It doesn't hurt at all. Yeah. So have a good night, everyone. I think it's been a long day for most of us.
Thank you so much, Kezia. Collins, as we wind up, and in case anyone from the participants want to talk, probably raise your hand. I'll allow you to speak, and then we wrap up. Because clearly this is a conversation that we can go on and on and on. People love money. I love money. Yeah, so Collins, let's find out. Then I'll invite Brian, just Brian from the participants. Sorry, guys, we have to close. But you can talk to us on our social media pages. My colleague Japheth has been sending them to the chat, and I know even the panelists did. Collins, and then Brian.
Okay, thank you. I think from my side, I would just leave you with one line. Don't be greedy and don't be afraid of anything. So you just go out there, try in as much as you can to learn what is out there. Don't be too greedy and don't fear a lot. Just take your risk. Business is all about risk. Investment is all about risk. Life is all about risk. I mean, we are staying in an era where everything is just risky. So feel free to contact us. I think Anne would also share our contacts to any of you that have missed the contacts in the chat. And thank you for having me here. It was really, really insightful. We don't know everything, but I've really learned a lot. Olive, please expect calls from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Collins. I really hate to deny you guys a chance, but Brian, please go ahead.
Yes, hello, guys. I'm personally really motivated, guys. I'm from here, Machakos, and you have really shared a lot. And personally, I've really learned a lot. And my main aim was to engage in investment platforms, but you have really done a lot, guys. And what I can just say, let God continue blessing you. And all in all, let's support each other to level us up and become somewhere in future. Thank you.
Okay, I know I said just Brian, but I see Kevin isn't lowering his hand, so I'll allow Kevin and then we close.
My name is Kelvin. I'm a software developer. I'm a freelance too. I found the masterclass it was a good session, and I learned a lot. Personally, as a freelancer, I've been having a problem of tracking my progress, my money, and how to invest. But according to Mr. Wipundi, like what he has said has really touched me, and I'm willing to do what haven't been doing right. Thanks a lot, guys, for this platform.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Could you? So thank you so much, everyone. It has been incredible. Remember to follow PLP Community on Instagram. Join our Telegram page. We are also on Discord for the software developers. We will have a series of this. If you want to see Olive, go to our social media pages and say Olive. If you want to see Kezia again, drop Kezia emojis, you know. But thank you so much for making time. Clap for yourself for being here for that long. And I cannot wait to see you next time. So, in case you don't know, I am the community manager at Powerline Project. You may have seen an email from me reminding you about this webinar. So in case you'd want to see any other events like this, please let me know. Wherever you are, we will include you. What are some of your talents? And you never know, you can be part of our community. I know we will be running a challenge on the paid platform, social media. They have a merchandise to give away, and PLP as well. So tag paid, tag PLP. Let's see how many of you will actually get the merchandise. And I know Benaya will be able to tell us more about it. Other than that, thank you and have a lovely night. Bye, guys.
story.